Good morning and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. I'll ask all of our speakers to mute for today. We're going to get started in less than probably a minute. We'll make sure that everyone is muted before we get started. Well, thank you all for joining us this morning. I think we'll go ahead and get started. We are excited today to really talk about sort of part 2 in a series regarding supporting small businesses during the COVID-19 crisis. LISC Los Angeles put out a toolkit a couple of weeks ago to help cities really think about what their strategies might be as we continue to wait for federal support. I have a couple of panelists that are with me today, and I'm going to introduce them in a bit. But let's start out by just introducing myself as well as LISC, the Los Angeles office. I'm Tanua Thrash-Intook, and I'm the Executive Director for the Los Angeles office of LISC. And our mission as an organization is to create communities that are inclusive and resilient and have opportunities so that people are living, working, and visiting and doing business in great places to raise a family. And as part of that mission, we bring capital and capacity building to neighborhoods to make that happen. Just last year, LISC Los Angeles has had a major impact on the Los Angeles County landscape. We invested more than $31 million in affordable housing development. We invested about $1.6 million in economic development and small business lending. We deployed more than $800,000 in grants to local nonprofit organizations. And we brought online, through our lending, 412 new units of affordable housing. We've trained more than 270 individuals through our capacity building program. Today's webinar is part of, again, our Toolkit series, and we're thankful to Wells Fargo for their support and helping make this happen in such a short period of time. Let's just go over 2 areas that are in the toolkit right now, just to provide some level setting in terms of what we're going to be talking about today. So the toolkit has at least 7 areas that we think are priority that cities might consider putting into place in order to support small businesses. One of those areas is investing in low-cost capital. So we know, as which is number 3 in our toolkit, we know that cities are looking for ways to create emergency sources of financing to support small businesses. And they're using CDBG block grants, EDA funds, other general operating funds in order to make that happen. And they're investing in both recoverable grants as well as low cost and micro loans with flexible terms. Today, you'll hear from 2 municipal representatives who will talk a little bit about the programs that they've started, where those resources come from, and what they've learned to date. We also talk about the importance of forming public-private partnerships. This is item number 4 in our toolkit. It's really important that we look at philanthropy and other corporate partners to really raise some of the capital that we might need to create grants for small businesses right now, to set up loan pools. And then the second item there is serve as a guarantor. We've been talking with cities about the potential of being able to serve as a guarantor for loans that could be made available to local small businesses. And as with, if you'll notice in the toolkit on the first page, I talk about the importance of ensuring that cities put an equity lens on this work, making sure that diverse, women-owned, and businesses located in low-income communities that may not have the relationships with banks have a chance to participate in the opportunities that become available. So with that, we will start our discussion by moving into a couple of other resources that we found outside of some of our panelists who are on with us today. So first, we want to bring your attention to the fact that Salesforce is hosting a small business grants. You'll see on the bottom the link to directly access the information about that. Our understanding is that these grants will be available mid-April, and information should be available at any time, any day soon now. In addition to the conversation that we're having today, I forgot to mention two things that I wanted to make sure you're aware of. One, we're recording this event, so keep that in mind. And then second, if you have a question, please put that in the chat box, and other LISC staff members, including Samantha Salmon and Emma Kloppenberg, will help me with being able to field those questions and hopefully be able to answer those along the way. And of course, when you get a chance to hear from our panelists, you'll have a chance to ask them questions as well. So check out Salesforce. There's also the Red Backpack Fund. This fund is specifically supporting women entrepreneurs. They are doing on a rolling basis, providing grants up to $10,000 to women-owned enterprises. You can check out their website there on the bottom of the screen. And I'm very proud to share that LISC Los Angeles is hosting a series of webinars. Do you know of a business that is in South Central Los Angeles? Do you know of a business in another cultural corridor or another community that certainly is in need of additional support? We're calling on businesses in South Los Angeles first for Friday, April 24th to attend our ongoing seminars called Keeping Our Shops on the Block. This is our opportunity to really focus on some of those neighborhood businesses that we all love, to make sure that they have access to all the information that we're getting here about what's available to them, and to give them a chance to do some peer sharing and get connected to resources right in their community. And finally, if you see the little sign there, you'll notice that we will be offering small grants up to $2,500 to at least 5 businesses that register that are in South Central Los Angeles and attend this seminar this Friday. Please feel free to forward that out. And this is brought to you by our partner in partnership with Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation, as well as Wells Fargo. So let's get into our panel for today. So we've got 4 fantastic members of our community in the public sector as well as the private sector here to talk about what they're doing to support local small businesses and to hopefully give you some ideas and some perspectives on what you can be doing in your community to connect. I've got Carolyn Torosis. Carolyn, it comes to us from the County of Los Angeles. She's the Director of Economic and Business Development in the Department of Workforce Development, Aging, and Community Services. Next, we'll have Diana Dokis. She's the Facebook Manager of Economic Impact and U.S. Policy Programs. She'll share more about what's happening at Facebook and how Facebook is focusing on grants for small businesses across the country and around the world. Then we've got Carolyn Howe with us. Carolyn is the General Manager for the City of Los Angeles's Economic and Workforce Development Department. She'll talk about their programs, their microloan programs, and the flexible terms that they're offering to businesses right now to help them weather this storm. And then we've got Troop Brian Coronado. He's the Executive Director of Community Engagement for Southern California for the Verizon Company. Thank you to all of our panelists. I'm sure if we were in person, you would hear wild applause from the audience, but we'll have to I have to do a sound effect to figure that out next time. Please, everybody's welcome to say hello this morning so somebody can hear somebody else's voice.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was muted.
Well, that was our sound off for today. So let's take them one at a time as we try and figure out how to manage having remote meetings and webinars. So, Carolyn, can you talk a little bit about the County of Los Angeles and what's happening there? Give us a sense of what's been the impact of the coronavirus on our region, at least in LA County, and then how we'll go into how the county has been focused on making sure that businesses have what they need in order to weather the storm.
Sure, no problem. So good morning, everyone. Hopefully you all can hear me. My name is Carolyn Howe. I oversee economic and business development here at our LA County Workforce Department. And I'm very fortunate that it's definitely not me alone. I have an amazing team. And I think that we've all been working in overdrive since the coronavirus came to the United States and was declared a state of emergency in California. Just to give you a little bit of those, and we serve both businesses and consumers, job seekers as customers of the workforce system. And so really it's our job here to ensure that we provide for economic mobility for our most underrepresented county populations, and also help our businesses thrive in industry that is going to provide career pathways and family sustaining wages so that we can help our businesses grow and thereby help our workers get employed. So what has the county been doing since coronavirus? Well, first, I would just like to give everyone a little bit of an economic situational analysis. And keep in mind that this data is coming from the Employment Development Department, so it is complete through March, although we are anticipating to see an extreme increase in April as well. So in March, we saw, which is pretty substantial, a 2% increase in our unemployment rate over month from February. So already we're at 6.3%, and we're anticipating that to go up pretty exponentially in April. We have a large portion of businesses in the county that are affected. We anticipate at least 139,000 businesses in LA County with the highest risk of job loss. We know that we have a lot of hourly employees in this county. And we also know that our employees are likewise just as affected by those layoffs as our businesses are. I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone that leisure and hospitality has been very hard hit. We know that there are about 545,000 leisure and hospitality workers in LA County that are being impacted. Although we saw a 20,000 job loss in leisure and hospitality last month, which was the largest month-over-month drop going back to 1990. We are anticipating an even larger drop in April, like I mentioned. We also know that tourism has been heavily impacted. We're anticipating at least a $3.7 billion loss for air travel just in the United States for this fiscal year, and then at least a $2.5 billion loss for domestic air travel for the first half of next fiscal year. So there's been a significant impact nationwide, but we believe an even more significant impact in LA County, which is why we, led by our LA County Board of Supervisors, have really had to mobilize all of our resources and creatively, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about. Before I get too much into the Employer Assistance Grant Fund, I do want to say that on March 24th, our board, led by Supervisor Barger, launched an LA County Help Center. So we have lacountyhelpcenter.org. You can all go to that website, lacountyhelpcenter.org. We also have an 800 number, and we have individuals ready to take your calls in 11 different languages. And the Help Center was launched primarily to target businesses and workers who have been most impacted, but we've since expanded that to serve landlords and tenants. Of course, landlords are businesses, but as you all know, we have an emergency eviction moratorium both for tenants and for commercial businesses. So we have technical assistance providers standing by to answer any of your questions related to commercial or residential tenancies. We also have our foreclosure prevention specialists because we are anticipating an increase in foreclosures in this county. And we have our business services representatives from our America's Job Centers, as well as our counselors from the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, our small business counselors. And then of course, we are helping individuals walk through unemployment insurance, et cetera. So again, I just want to flag that resource for everyone and let you know that we've received over 6,000 calls to that call center since March 26th. So the need is immense. Speaking of an immense need, we launched our LA County Employer Assistance Grant Fund on April 9th. And so that's really what I want to talk about as a best practice here. We were able to use our creative reasoning under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. So again, workforce development dollars to receive funding to our region to turn it around and actually give that money to businesses, because we all know that if we don't help businesses be self-sufficient and stay in business, we don't keep our workers employed. So it's all along the same continuum. And so thereby we said, look, this is an activity where we are actually helping businesses serve our workforce, and therefore we should be able to use workforce development dollars. So in partnership with EDD, the Employment Development Department, we were given, this sounds like a very small amount, but we're actively seeking additional funding. We were given $500,000, just $500,000 for this Employer Assistance Grant Fund. And we are giving grants, again, not loans, grants. So money that you do not need to pay back up to $10,000. So in order to see the biggest return on our investment for this money, we are targeting smaller businesses between 2 and 50 employees and who have under $2 million in revenue annually or less. So really making sure that we're not trying to help a business with 500 employees by giving them $10,000, because we didn't feel that would be impactful, but really helping our smallest businesses. And I would like to add that we partnered with Reddit, the Roberts Enterprise Development Fund, to be the fiscal sponsor for our money. And the great part about that is A, they're an amazing partner, but B, they really care about increasing the capacity of social enterprises and community serving businesses. And that's what we care about too. So we're giving up to 25% of the funding specifically to social enterprises.
That's good to know, because a lot of people have asked us, what is it that is available for social enterprises? And there's lots of support for small businesses and maybe even some for nonprofits, but not nearly as many for social enterprises. And I know the county has been leading in that effort. Would you do us a favor one more time, Carolyn? You mentioned the other website that you wanted people to know about that is a resource for them. If you could say that one more time, we'll have members of our team put that in the chat box.
So it's the LA County Disaster Help Center, and the website is lacountyhelpcenter.org, lacountyhelpcenter.org. And the email address, if you want to email us, disasterhelpcenter@lacounty.gov. You can also, and our 800 numbers on the website, but I'll say it super quickly. It's 833-238-4450. 833-238-4450. You can talk to a live person. The hours currently say between 8 and 4:30. We are expanding that to 6, so between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. And we're also expanding to Saturday hours, so you can call us there. And there is information for nonprofits on our website as well. I do want to clarify for everyone that our grant opportunity is available for both for-profit and nonprofit enterprises, and we have had a lot of nonprofits come to us with questions, and so there is information specifically for nonprofits on this website as well.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happened with the program.
Okay, so we are actually still in a rollout phase. So again, we accepted the applications on April 9th. We've reviewed over 200 applications, but like I should mention, there are now up to 8,000 business enterprises on our waiting list. We know the need is huge. So we are giving these awards to the most worthy businesses. And thus far, we have awarded 21 applications. We anticipate awarding between 60 and 70 when this is all said and done. And we anticipate awarding the remainder of those by the rest of the week. I will say of the 21 approved, you can see we have a majority minority-owned, women-owned, or veteran-owned businesses, which is great. We also were looking at the number of layoffs averted per organization in order to have people retain their jobs. So we're anticipating 120 layoffs averted just with those 21 very small micro grants. And we're anticipating retaining or generating at least $600,000 of revenue for these businesses. I will say that we are really trying to achieve geographic parity across the county. So we are working to make those numbers in the different supervisorial districts a bit more representative, with the knowledge that the first district represented by Supervisor Solis and the second district represented by Supervisor Ridley Thomas have the highest number of what the Cal Enviroscreen calls disadvantaged communities census tracts in their districts. So we are mindful of that. You will see the industries that we've represented are broad. And I will just say that it's very interesting that healthcare has also been very affected by this crisis. Although we have a frontline need for healthcare, when we talk about all of the elective clinics, like we have dentist office, we have doctor's office that are providing different types of elective procedures, all of that has been effectively decimated. So we do have a lot of medical providers, small family clinics that have been affected. So I just wanted to flag that. I'm happy to return to the group with any sort of further information for those of you who are in a local workforce development area who would like to try to leverage some of that funding and replicate what we did. We are here to help. We've already gotten several inquiries from other jurisdictions throughout the state, and we're happy to show you our justification, legal reasoning, and application criteria if you'd like to replicate that. Additionally, we have a newsletter and a series of town halls that are going on for our business community. And I'm happy to take anyone's information and make sure that you are getting the latest news and resources from our department in our Economic and Business Development Division.
Well, thanks for that, Carolyn, because a huge part of what this is all about is peer support and networking with one another to try and figure out where can these resources come from. So having workforce dollars that maybe some jurisdictions already have and we're planning to use for something else, knowing that they can be potentially used in this way, I think gives people another resource besides the general fund to begin to think about where to get dollars to launch this kind of program. So we thank you for being a resource in the community in that way.
Absolutely. And I don't want to take up too much time, but I would like to say that we are actively advocating with our federal lobbyists for additional funding in upcoming CARES packages. And I think that's really important for our region, given the intense need, as you saw in LA County specifically, and across the state, obviously, that we advocate for additional federal funding for all of these different grant programs and supportive services as we reopen our economy.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And I've put up here contact information in order to reach out to your department and to learn more about the program, how you've designed it, what the outcomes are, and what you've learned beyond what you've shared here today. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, stay on. We're going to talk. So we've got Facebook on the line and are excited to have Diana join us to talk about Facebook and their Business Boost program, all the different portals and their hub that they have available to support small businesses. Diana, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So what I've done for our viewers out there is that they can see on the page here, this is where you find information about grants at Facebook, but there's other resources that we're going to talk about as well, right?
Yes.
Great. Well, let's get started. I mean, people are wondering what's out there. You've got a grant program out there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we know that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. And as soon as we saw how devastating this was going to be for the COVID crisis was going to be for the small business community, we knew we needed to act. And so we dedicated $100 million to the small business community across the globe, focusing where we have offices and data centers. So really where we live. What that means for the US is that we have $40 million that was allocated for the US and distributed across our 27 locations as to where we have, again, data centers and offices, and really in our own backyard, LA being one of them. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of the LA community. And so we allocated about 1.5 million for the LA community. And I want to tell you a little bit about what is entailed in this in the grants program. So you need to be a for-profit company. You must have between 2 and 50 employees. Now, if you are the owner, you count in that. So just so you know, but you do need to have between 2 and 50 employees. You need to show that you've been in business with it for at least a year. You must be able to show and talk with us about how you have negatively been impacted by the COVID crisis. Again, you must be within a certain geographic area of where our offices and data centers are. And so that's LA County for LA. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other criteria. So wanting to let you all know that you do not have to be a member of the Facebook family. You do not have to be on Facebook or Instagram or use any of our other services to be eligible for this grant. We know that the small business community across the board is suffering, and so not just those that are on that use our platform. So please know that if you are not a user, please still apply. The grant total is about $4,000, and how that's broken out is it's $2,500 in cash, and then an optional $1,500 in ad credits. So again, if you are on the platform, you have the option to have that additional $1,500 in ad credits, in addition to the $2,500 in cash, so majority cash grant. We're also placing a special emphasis on minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses, knowing that especially during crises, minority-owned businesses have a very difficult time accessing capital. And so again, placing a special emphasis on these communities so that we are able to help get help and resources to those who really, for all of us who need it. In addition to the grants, we then also knew that we needed to have support systems. And so we developed a business resource hub. And so if you go to facebook.com/business, you'll be able to access our resource hub, and that will have a resiliency toolkit. It will have guides per sector. So if you are a restaurant, if you're in retail, if you're in e-commerce, you will have some helpful guides as to how to navigate this crisis. We have some digital skills and learning opportunities on the site, and then we also provide links and other resources from advocacy organizations and the federal government, so that you can use these to help assist as you look to navigate yourself through this very challenging time.
So what I've done is I've gone through and looked at some of the resources that you offer. And so we can just kind of go through a couple of them. So you're raising awareness about the SBA programming.
Yes, and so as folks may be aware, a couple of weeks ago, the SBA was appropriated up almost $350 billion in loan opportunities for small businesses. Currently, the federal government is going through negotiations of what that next phase looks like, but we wanted to make sure that small businesses that are on our platform were aware of the additional opportunities and resources that might be available to them. And so we did a quick promotion and allowed for small businesses to see what might be available to them.
You've got a gift card program as well.
Yes, knowing that we also have some additional ways of supporting the community, we created a gift card product, which allows for small businesses to sign up using two of our platform partners, and you can sign up with them, which then allows you to advocate and allow for your networks and your communities to support you during this time. And so members of your community and your network and your patrons can go and purchase a gift card for your business that hopefully will allow you to sustain a little bit during this period.
Similarly, if people want to also create fundraising opportunities, that's also available on Facebook right now.
Absolutely. And of note, this is the first time that we've adapted the fundraising tool for small businesses. Traditionally, nonprofits were only allowed to fundraise on the platform, but we opened and adapted for the small business community as well.
And then finally, you've got some change, as people change their hours, as small businesses, you've got some tools to help them deliver that information out there.
It's always important to communicate with your customers, but maybe never so much more important than right now during this crisis. And so we've developed a tool to be able to help you to do that. So whether it's you're adjusting your hours, or you're moving from delivery and pickup to another way of operating, or if you're going solely onto online services, this allows you to stay in touch with your customers regularly so that they know how to best support you.
Great. And then Diana, you've got a whole series of resources that can be accessed either through Facebook or other partners. You'll be hosting some conversations with cities in particular around your grant program.
Yes, that's right.
Great. So people can learn more about that by taking a look at your web links here, and we have those up for now. Thanks for joining us today, Diana.
Thank you.
Great. So next, we're going to move on to Carolyn Howe. Carolyn is the General Manager for the Economic Workforce and Development Department for the City of Los Angeles. And it's just as a city, for an example, we brought Carolyn on to talk about the resiliency toolkit that the city has put out there. At least that's on the website, and we encourage you to take a look at that. So Carolyn, tell us about the flexible programs that you all have put together at the City of Los Angeles to support small businesses.
Thank you for having me, and hello to everyone. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the City of Los Angeles has put together a toolkit or a series of programs to assist small businesses, but also because we are the Economic and Workforce Development Department, we've also have two sides of the shop. So we've been working with our rapid response team to make sure that the employers themselves understand where to apply for certain resources. So for today, I'm really going to talk about our microloan program, which was put out initially about 3 to 4 weeks ago. We have used primarily general fund money to support it. We have some CDBG funding in the program. We are deploying between 10.5 to 11 million dollars for small businesses. And while that seems like a significant amount, it actually is just a drop in the bucket for what the need is out there. The microloan program currently has a loan limit between 5,000 and 20,000, and we tried to make the program somewhat flexible. So you can see that there's various options available to small businesses. Currently, we have seen that option number one has been the one that most of our small businesses are opting for, but then they have an opportunity to kind of roll it into one of the other options. Our real general purpose here is to be that stopgap funding so that companies who are available to apply for other resources can do so. We are seeing in terms of the program at the moment, we have about on average, small businesses are asking for about 18,500. That seems to be the average amount, but most are actually seeking the full 20,000. We're seeing that the most vulnerable businesses that are applying are restaurants, bars, cafes, healthcare services in terms of health and beauty services, salons, centers. We have also seen that the program, there are several nonprofits that have applied for the program and they are available for the program.
Yes, so sorry, Carolyn, that's an important caveat. Okay, good. That's an important caveat that we should make people aware of, and that is with your program, you've been able to make it available for nonprofit organizations, so they are able to participate and access these microloans.
Absolutely. And we've been working in conjunction with our business source centers, which are spread throughout the city. Because one of the things that we found is that so many, although we have not asked for a significant amount of paperwork and requirements, many of our small businesses are limited in their access to computers and other items to just get the information to us. So we have it deployed and been working with our business source centers. And I just want to emphasize throughout this entire process that one of the most important things we can do for our small businesses is to provide technical assistance. While providing funding in the short term is more than needed, it's how do we assist them so they know what's out there that they can apply for, and also to plan for resiliency and sustainability. So as we look forward, one of the lessons we've learned from our microloan program is now that we have a pool of applicants to work with them, not just during the crisis period, but to work with our constituents and partners like LISC and those on the phone to develop technical assistance that allows them to understand and how to grow and actually respond to the changing business environment that has occurred during this time period. As I've indicated, our program is oversubscribed. It is our hope that we will, over time, and we're working on it right now, to extend it out to gain additional funding so we could have the program move forward over the course of the next several months, because, as I indicated, there's going to be a need for that as we roll out.
Carolyn, one of the reasons why I thought it was so important that we have the terms up there is because there's a lot of 0, 0, 0, so no fee, no application fee. This is as streamlined as possible in terms of taking every dollar and trying to get it back to the nonprofits and to the businesses. So it's great that there can be no interest for 18 months. There's no prepayment penalty. There's no loan fee, no admin fee. All of those things I think are something that other cities could consider.
Really important. Thank you for putting that out. It was really important to us to make it as streamlined as possible and to ensure that absolutely the maximum amount of money got out to the small businesses. So you're absolutely right. We're not taking an admin fee. There's no application fee, and we are actually flexible in that working capital definition. So really what we're trying to do is work with those small businesses, particularly on our main streets of our communities, to make sure that they are able to maintain their workforce during this difficult time. And I'll actually open it up to questions really about the program and anything else.
Great. Well, you also have another great resource on your website, and that's a policy guide for local small businesses. The city of Los Angeles passed a moratorium on commercial evictions, and there's some other strategies in there that you describe and help make sure small businesses are aware of. So we encourage people to take a look at that on your website as well. Other cities might model some of their policy guides for local businesses after this.
We've been working really closely with the mayor's office and the various city departments about how to assist small businesses during this time period. And our policy guide I think, is a great resource for that. And we've been actually just on the call the other day with the Department of Water and Power and putting out a guide for, as you kind of ramp up, how to work with them on the various programs that they have to reduce the cost of energy for your companies. So there, and the ability to actually get this material out in various languages. So we are working really closely with various departments to make sure that there's a wide net that is spread to get this information out to the various areas.
Well, that underscores, Carolyn, thanks for reminding us of that, of the equity lens. So much of what we need to do in our various counties in LA and Orange County is think about the languages that we have to put things in to make sure that folks are able to access the information when we put it out there. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us this morning. No problem. Next, we've got Troop Brian Coronado. He is with Verizon. And Troop, we're so glad to have you on our call today. Thanks for joining us. You have to unmute yourself. We went over this earlier.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay. It's fun to join this conversation. I know it's special. I do appreciate the opportunity to be part of this conversation. I think it's very, very important. And I'm just struck by how much we're doing. I mean, we collectively on this panel here, I wasn't aware of half of the initiatives and programs. So it's really, I was thinking about this morning. There's no silver lining in COVID-19, but when you think, we're right. There's no. I can't say it was a silver lining to this, but when you think about impact for years to come, and who's going to be impacted the most, small businesses. So I think it's amazing that this Los Angeles and Facebook and Verizon and others are really focusing on those small businesses to make sure that they continue and have success. So I just find it very refreshing, and it's all just good news when you think about helping each other. So thank you for the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I bet that there are people on the call who thought they would come to the call and know exactly everything that's going on. Are learning some new things, and you've got an announcement that we're going to have you also just kind of briefly touch on before I have you go. But first, and then I say to our audience out there, we are going to be answering your questions. Just give us just a couple more minutes. Go ahead and put those in. My team is monitoring them now. And I look forward to starting that dialogue. So Troop, LISC and Verizon have come together and have started a small business fund. We have already, we're in the process of awarding the first round of grants to several hundred businesses across the country. So tell us how Verizon feels about that and what your commitment is as a company.
Really good. We were proud to support the organization at $2.5 million. And this program, supporting small businesses is going really well. I have seen many examples where the mayor of Long Beach, for example, sent out, the application to small businesses in Long Beach. It was kind of a neat thing that he was doing on his own. And so a lot of the nonprofit and small businesses were able to, at the first round, I believe, small businesses were able to apply. And so people were really encouraged that there was opportunity for funding, because as you know, there's another bucket of money that has gone very quickly. And a lot of this, and so there's a disconnect with small business owners. So it's good to have a very positive story where we're able to provide support to small businesses. And as you mentioned earlier, these businesses are primarily female-owned, African-American-owned, Latino-owned, and they're the backbone of our economy. And so I think it's very important. It's very important to support these businesses.
So Troop, we want to get some more money into this fund so that we can do a round two. And LISC is planning to announce a round two. But as part of this, there is a concert series
so it's called Pay It Forward. And thank you for mentioning that. So every Thursday on Facebook, I'm sorry. Verizon's Twitter page. Rewind the tape. Can I redo this? On every Thursday from 8 to 10 Eastern Time, 5 to 8 here in LA, there is a concert. It's a very private concert in someone's home. For example, Dave Matthews performed, Alicia Keys performed, Ty Herndon performed. Yeah, and so it's about an hour and a half performance. It's very informal in the person's living room, and we ask the listeners to hashtag on their own social media platforms, hashtag Pay It Forward, and the company in turn for each hashtag will provide, I believe, $1 to the campaign. And it's going really well because, we're getting some big stars, Alicia Keys, for example, Dave Matthews. And so we're excited about that. And tonight, even though it's not Thursday, it's Wednesday, tonight we're having Billie Eilish and her brother, Phineas, perform tonight live. So it's a great way to hear music and be in a good mood, but also more importantly, support small businesses. And the campaign is called Pay It Forward.
Great.
I encourage you to go to Verizon's Twitter page every Thursday and listen to the concert. It's a really, I've listened twice now. Alicia Keys, for example, is in her piano in her living room. And so it's very intimate. It's great.
Yes, it's fun.
It's fun.
So it's fun. In addition to the grants, you also are focused on making sure the small businesses are able to access information via webinar series. This one happened yesterday. So we encourage folks to take a look at your website and learn more about those webinars.
Please do. These are actually weekly, and they're very informative, and they're tailored to what business owners want to talk about. We work closely with small business owners to say, hey, what's on your mind? How can we help you? And so they actually help provide develop the content of these webinar series. So it's very informative. And I have been really impressed with the company reaching out and doing so much in this space for small businesses, as they should. But it's great to see how much work and effort we're putting into the small business community. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Troop, and thank you
One
for
last thing.
our panel. Oh, yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. That's right. I don't have a slide for it because you just told me this morning, but tell me about what is your latest?
So last night, Verizon announced, and I'll read it just from the press release. I think I sent it around, by the way, earlier, a few minutes ago, I sent it around. It says Verizon partners with American Express for, quote, stand for small to support U.S. small businesses. And there are 40 companies that have joined forces to be part of the stand for small businesses. And it's American Express led. Verizon is one of the 40 companies. I sent out the press release to all of you on the email this morning about half an hour ago. So it's a new initiative designed to address small businesses and help them with their capacities when you mentioned earlier, the capacity. So, you know, there's a lot going on, and we're happy to be part of this new initiative. So there you go.
Well, you heard it here first on the LISC webinar. This is breaking news. We'll put it up on our website and make sure that people have that information.
Please do. I appreciate that.
Great. Well, we've got a couple of questions. I'm going to ask my team to unmute themselves and our panelists to help me in seeing if we can get these questions answered.
Yes, thank you, Tanua. So we have a question around geography. This question is tailored to Carolyn Terosis and Carolyn Howe, who spoke about the city and the county programs. Someone was wondering, is there a comparable programming for Orange County? They're a small business in Orange County and want to make sure that they have the most relevant info for the financing available in the OC.
Well, the whole point of this series, just to, you know, make sure people get that, is to be able to share information. Certainly the folks who are on the line are representing a different county and cities in a different county, but we're hoping that regionally you'll be able to take this information and really focus on promoting it in your county and or city. But I don't know if either Carolyn has been working with anybody in other cities, but we certainly want to push this information out and encourage Orange County and the various cities inside it to consider these programs.
So we're in regular communication with all the Workforce Development Board areas, and I've actually told some of my colleagues in Orange County about this, about what we did with federal funding. I'm happy to communicate again with them and give them our best practices. I am not personally aware of any loan or grant funds. Maybe Carolyn is, but I would definitely check with both your county, city, and local economic development organization, as I'm sure that they're heavily advertising anything that is available. Carolyn, you're muted.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. This is Carolyn Howe, and I am very happy to share any information that I have with any other cities. We've been in contact with many of them to talk about our program. I don't personally know about any Orange County programs, but I just echo what Carolyn T just said, which was to reach out to your local economic development corporations, but happy to reach out to other cities.
Read myself.
Yes, true. Mute yourself.
Sure, very quickly. This morning I was watching. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. This morning I was watching the news, and they talked about today in the Senate in D.C. they're going to debate a small business, not bailout, that's not the word, a bill. And there's a lot of controversy between the Democrats and Republicans on what to do in terms of the small business community. So it's interesting how, to me at least, you have, you know, the local governments and local companies and organizations really diving in first with small business community, and you have the Congress really lagging behind in terms of their response to small business needs. So take a look tonight when they talk about the ongoing floor debate. I'm not sure the next bill. It's like the Small Business Recovery Act, I think. So I think it's interesting how again, corporations will take the part of the government. We're now leading in areas where they should be, but we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it.
Yeah, this is these local issues. I mean, that's your local dry cleaners, that's your local taco shop, that's your local coffee shop. So, and many of the people, certainly in my own community, live in the community as well. So it's, we're just a little closer, I think, to the issues. Emma, do we have other questions?
We do. This next question is for Carolyn Howe. Someone asked, what type of CDBG funding is used for this program? Are the funds from regular entitlements or from the new CDBG CV funds that were recently announced?
To the best of my knowledge, this is not from the new CDBG CV fund. In fact, I know it's not, but we are looking into that in the future.
So it's your traditional allocation of CDBG funds that you get that you've used to repurpose some portion of them for your microloan program.
But I should mention that the vast majority, I think 90%, I haven't looked at the percentage, is coming from general fund. So it's a very small allocation of CDBG.
Okay. Other questions?
Yes, we have a question for Troop. You were not selected on the first round of the Verizon grant. Can you reapply for the second round?
I believe so. I'll defer to our folks here. Please.
Yeah. So
you can. Yeah, pretty sure you can.
You can. We encourage you to, but you will need to apply again. So if you applied before to the Verizon program, and hopefully, really soon we'll be able to announce so you can see who in your community and you can applaud them and, congratulate them on winning. But you can, and you have to apply again. We are not taking a waiting list because it's a lottery. We need to start all over again.
And thank you for being so helpful with this whole, not whole, but it's a great program. So excited about it. You guys did a really good job.
Great, thank you.
So thank you for that.
Other questions?
We have a question that says, is there any program that provides a grant or a loan to chambers of commerce?
Oh.
So I can just say that our program was available to chambers of commerce. There were several actually that did apply. None within the first wave of applications that we're reviewing, but it is possible that some could be awarded as we continue to review more applications. Definitely any sort of for-profit, nonprofit business enterprise was eligible. And we're hoping to get more money for that program.
This is Carolyn Howe. The same on our end. I believe I've even seen that several chambers, or at least a couple of chambers within the city of LA have applied, and they are eligible to apply.
And as a caveat for the second time around for round 2 on Verizon, it will only be available to for-profit entities. The first time we did make it available to nonprofits, but it will only be available to for-profit entities. Diana, how about your program?
So while our program is dedicated for-profit small businesses, we are really thankful to the Chambers of Commerce generally for partnering with us, especially the LAX Chamber of Commerce. They've been incredibly helpful while we're partnering. We're establishing a partnership to help mentor and consult small businesses on their different loan and funding opportunities, and just to make sure that they are on a volunteer basis, making sure that small businesses know how to navigate this. All that's available to them. And one point I did want to make earlier on our applications is that the entire application is also available in Spanish, and we also have Mandarin guides for folks to be able to, again, access the applications as easily as possible.
Great, that's wonderful, and an important resource for the community. Any other questions, Emma?
Yes, we have a question. Someone asked, as a real estate brokerage owner, some property owners / landlords are facing problems with paying property loans given tenants are not able to pay rent right now. What resources do they qualify? Do they qualify for this type of loan? And I think by this, they're referencing the city loan.
Let me look into that. That individual contact information. I will look into that specifically.
Yeah, and I want to weigh in on that as well. So I don't know where this individual is, but we are putting together a tenant assistance program for the unincorporated area of LA County, and we hope to expand it countywide using in part CDBG funding, and that was the new CDBG allocation from the county. Additionally, any landlord would be able to use any of the loans that, as they are small businesses, any of the loans or grant programs that the county is putting together. I'm remiss in not mentioning that our LA County Development Authority also has a loan program that certainly landlords can speak with LACDA about. And then I know Carolyn Howe here has been working with our Department of Consumer and Business Affairs on some additional small business loan opportunities that the county is working to stand up. So stay tuned for all of that. But we are very acutely aware of the, especially small landlords' need to work on the property tax issue. So our treasurer tax collector is evaluating that. I think more information to come as we work on this economic recovery package that the county is going to put together. So certainly that's a top of mind issue, and I'm happy to answer any offline questions about it.
Thank you. And we have another question for you, Carolyn Torosis. Is the program going to reopen? It sounds like this individual had an email saying that they're on the wait list. Do you have any advice for them? And if so, when will it possibly reopen?
Yeah, and I would encourage everyone to add their name to the wait list so that you can be kind of first notified. I don't have a date for that. I would just say we've spoken with philanthropy and also our friends at the Mayor's Fund for LA just to see what additional grant funding and fundraising opportunities there are for us. I don't have a timeline on exactly when that's going to be. Looking at getting additional funding from the federal government, and if we do, certainly that would increase our chances of opening this again. But I'm happy to answer, again, any specific questions you have via my personal email if you want to talk about your status on the wait list.
Thank you. And I think that is all the questions exactly at time.
Okay, there we go. All right, well, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our audience out there, and certainly thank you to our panelists. You'll see my hands clapping there for your time, for your expertise, and for your willingness to share. LISC Los Angeles is proud to present today's webinar and are very thankful for the support of Wells Fargo in being able to make this webinar possible. We encourage you to take a look at our toolkit at the LISC Los Angeles website listed herein. We encourage you to take a look at our COVID-19 resource page where we'll put this information that we learned here from today there. And we encourage you to join us next week as we talk about data and what does it mean? What is all this data that we're collecting? Why is it important to collect it? And what will that mean in terms of the resources that could be made available to support local small businesses? At this time, we say stay healthy, continue to be well, take care of yourselves and your families, and if you can, support a local small business. At this time, we're saying good day and have a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you.